Kirsten Liebelt, how are you doing? Today is, let me think, what day are we on? We're on Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. It's good to see you guys. Hold on, I'm going to do this for TikTok. There we go. Okay, my thing is being weird with me today, and I'm trying to mitigate. I don't know why that is. It's just sliding down on me. I think my husband needs to help me. All right, so how are you guys doing? It's good to see you. Happy Tuesday. Such a good day. It's a beautiful day here in Minnesota. It is just absolutely gorgeous. We actually have, now I know every now and again, we're going to complain both about the winter and the summer. That's not me, but that's kind of what happens in Minnesota. And so the thing is that good morning, good to see you. You're just so sweet. Good morning. It's always good to see people. So, the thing is that, when we complain about both the winter and the summer, that's not a good thing. We can't be doing that. So we actually have some really exciting humidity going on in Minnesota. I love the humidity. I actually kind of put on my sweater a little bit before I came on because I'm like, my air conditioning is making it so cold. Good morning, Sue. Good to see you. Which is good but then I love to go sit outside during the day and get super warm. I want to be warm to my bones. Am I the only one? I want to be so warm to my bones because in the winter we aren't. And so I don't know. I'm just a little bit of a humidity chaser. I love it. I understand. I live in Minnesota. It's not real humidity. It's not like Florida where it's so oppressive and you walk outside and it's just immediately insane. So I do get that. And I have air conditioning. So I can say that I love humidity because I have air conditioning. All right, we're going to go on. All right. If you are on the replay, please let me know that you are on the replay. I would love to know who is, hold on, where are you coming in from? That would be amazing. I always love to see that on my replays when I can. Of course, I can't do that on TikTok, but that's okay. So good morning. We're going to talk a little bit today about the food pyramid. It's actually one of my favorite topics, you guys. Housekeeping. Tonight is for anybody who has COPD, asthma, mold, you have mold issues, allergies, etc. My husband is actually going to host a webinar on an air treatment system, and I don't want people to miss out on that. It's actually not in the Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women Facebook group. It's in a different group. And so we're going to stream it live into there, and it's at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Do not miss out on this. Yesterday, somebody was on my live, and they were talking about, good morning, Brenda. You lived in Minnesota for over 10 years and you didn't like humidity, but your skin and hair did. Yes, I know. We glow with the humidity and then we dry in the winter. It's crazy. But she was talking about being a part of a mold remediation company. And she said, basically, they tell people, listen, you need to have an air treatment system in every single room. I mean, that's how important this becomes for your overall health. And the truth is, yesterday I did my live on the connection between poor air quality and insulin resistance. And it's because of the inflammation that gets raised in your body because of the damaging particles, damage to your cells. It increases and or exacerbates insulin resistance. Inflammation is the core of all disease. You understand what I'm talking about, I think, right? So basically, I just want people to know 7 p.m. tonight, Central Standard Time. If you do not know where to go, a confused mind does nothing. Don't sit and be confused. Reach out to me. Messenger on Facebook, my inbox on Instagram, on the Tickety Talk. If you go up to my profile right here, and if you click on me again, you'll get to my page. And there is I'm going to get something off of Instagram for that. There's a hashtag, if you know what I mean, a number, and you can do this. You can do this. I have to be careful. So you can always reach out to me. There is never, ever a block in how to get a hold of me. Okay. It's a wide open highway. And you just ask me, where's the group? How do I get into the group? Facebook, put group in the comments. I'll get you the information. Once you're in there, if you tell me that you're in there, I can tag you in the webinar event. Okay. So don't miss out on that, you guys. Just another layer of something to help you with your health. And for people who are suffering, upper respiratory since 20 is off the charts. And not being able to breathe well is a very, very deeply impacting piece of the puzzle for a lot of people. Okay. There you go. That's the housekeeping for today. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the food pyramid. And this is what triggered this today. I get these messages all the time. This is a very constant conversation. So this is why it's a favorite topic for me, because I feel like it can help people somewhat the most. Good morning, Miss Anna. Good to see you. Because we've been given so much misinformation or omission of information. Okay. And what I mean by that is a couple of years ago, I had a customer of mine, type 2, go to her diabetic nutritionist. And she said, I can't keep my sugars down. I'm having a hard time. Like I kind of like crossed over into difficulty land. Good morning. And she said, well, tell me what you're eating. And she said, well, this is what I'm eating. And she said, no problem. You can have 150 grams of carbs a day. I know, Sue. I know it is. Good morning, Joanne. Oh, good to see you. Good to see you. And you can have 150 grams of carbs a day. No problemo. All you have to do is go from taking a pill script to an injection script. Well, tell me if you think that is good information. I mean, honestly, like that is horrible advice, but it's common. It's very common. So what happens then is I get so many, when I talk about this, like today, I'll probably get more messages in my inbox talking to me about how they too went to the matrix and they too got really bad information. And so this is what I woke up to this morning. Type 2 since 2016, put on MET, no info on diet, just slow down on the sweets. Then added, oh, I can't say things. Just what you're trying to avoid, Joanne. Yep. Then put on GLP. I'm just going to say that. Hopefully that doesn't trigger anything. Still nothing about eating habits. Nothing. Or carbs. The A1C was 6.7 to 7, and the doc said that was good. You're doing good. Besides having COPD, has CAD and AFib. Haven't had a blood test yet, but my meter is saying that my A1C is 5.6. I test blood sugars daily 5 to 6 times. And then she's talking about she wants the link to the air quality seminar and the trio. Okay, so this is, nutritionists also give the same info to pregnant women with gestational diabetes. Yes. Laura, well, maybe a different pyramid. This is constant. And I was gestational with my first baby. So this is kind of, I mean, honestly, when I look back, why didn't I question things more? I feel like maybe I just was being lazy with my own information. I think is kind of my truest answer. You know, I grew up with a dad who was, insulin dependent, 2 shots a day in his belly. I remember giving him back rubs, you guys. He needed back rubs all the time. And I gave him back rubs and his skin, I don't know how to explain it. It's like the insulin did something to his muscular structure. Like his back was, I mean, I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was just so, it wasn't tight muscle. It was more like the actual skin on his back was affected by the insulin. Does that make sense? I mean, I know it's true that that's what my experience was, but was it because of the insulin? Like, I just feel like his body was different because of that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but anyway, that just came to me. That was a flood of a memory. Woo! Flood of a memory. And that's why I probably have strong hands. So if my adult sons are watching my content, which I don't think either of them do, which is totally fine. Because we're just a back rub family. We like, we'll watch a movie and give each other back rubs and all that good stuff. And it's like, that's probably why I've got strong hands for back rubs. I started young. I'm having this memory right now. You think we should trust the information the medical professions are? I think we just trust the information. We do just trust. And that is what happens. And so I'm gestational diabetic. I'm in my 20s. Okay, well, you should just test your blood 4 times a day and write down what your blood is and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I did. And then I had a 9 pound, 13 ounce baby. My son was 9, 13, and swore I'd never have kids again. Who could blame me? He was very large. And when I delivered him, they tested my blood as protocol would tell them to do. And they said, "Oh, you're good. You delivered the gestational diabetic with diabetes with the baby." Never heard another nothing. Never. And again, I'm high on personal responsibility. So I am not blaming anybody in that moment. I'm just telling you my story. Like, and maybe they would have told me something and maybe I wouldn't have heard them. I don't know, right? Like we hear what we want to hear sometimes. So I definitely leave without any thought process that I'm going to do anything different at all. And like she's saying that the nutritionist, when you're gestational, they don't tell you anything. Sue says the nutritionist told her the same thing, to have her 6 to 11 servings of carbs a day. Madness. Got really bad information. Yep. So I just went on my merry way. And then my second baby, I was hypoglycemic. I passed out in the shower. Opposite, but still the same, different side of the exact same coin. So now I'm right around 26 years old. Fast forward to 30, my dad dies. He's 63. Type 2 diabetic. He's not in the hospital. He's not anything. He literally just dies, like heart, right? Because this is all connected. So type 2 diabetic, insulin dependent. He had been on kidney dialysis for 2 years by that time, and he just is up and gone. So I'm 30 years old and I still kind of like really hard-headed. Mary, thank you for the follow. I so appreciate you. I guess I just really didn't want to face my own whatever. And I feel like there was a big piece of this that I was just told that it was genetic. So it was going to be whatever it was going to be. And I didn't have any control or manipulation over it. So who cares? I'm Italian. Lots of obesity and type 2 in my Italian family. So, que sera, sera. Like maybe we're supposed to just embrace this whole obesity type 2 thought process. Like it is what it is, right? That's kind of where my brain was. So I didn't really give it much thought as to changing anything, because can you really? All that good stuff. Oh, Mary, you're so sweet. And so basically, I go on my merry way, and I hit my 40s, and my mom won't leave me alone about my sugars, right? And she's really pushing on that envelope. Listen, Kirsten, like, do you even go to the doctor? Are you even checking your sugars? Like, do you even know where your sugars are? Your dad kind of died of type 2 diabetes. Like, maybe you need to pay attention. And she can see my weight gain, right? She can see what's happening. And so this is where that insulin resistant conversation comes into play, because I had no idea much of the terminology, much less the fact that I actually started oops, I'm going to move that because that's going to happen again. My insulin resistance way back in my 20s, or at least that's when it was identified. But nobody called it that. Nobody said anything to me other than you're gestational diabetic. Obviously, I was insulin resistant before that. And that's why even now today, all these years later, my oldest is 35. So 35 years later, it's even more prevalent now. And they're actually tracking fatty liver in children. They're actually tracking type 2, which used to be called, don't know if it still is, maybe in some circles, adult onset diabetes. It's now in our children, because it's a diet-related disease. So let's talk about the pyramid, shall we? Let's talk about it. So you have 7-fold risk of developing type 2 if you have gestational diabetes. Yes. And I had no idea. Nobody told me that. Nobody said that to me. The only thing that I knew was when my dad needed a kidney transplant and I was a match, the University of Minnesota immediately disregarded me. They said, no, you can't give him your kidney because he contracted. I don't know if they used that word. I just did. He was diagnosed with type 2 at 35. And so because I was maybe 25 at the time, maybe 26, I don't remember, somewhere in there, they said, no, you can't, because this is a genetic situation. Right. Anyway, I have so many thoughts about that. Okay. So, all right. So when she wrote me that this morning, and yesterday I had heard, I don't know if you all know who Jordan Peterson is. I know who he is. I've listened to some of his stuff, and not really, just clips. So I kind of know a little bit. I know he's from Canada and all that good stuff, but his, I know lies. He basically, was talking about how when he woke up, in his own whatever, in his own right, to the fact that the pyramid was a total scam. And he goes, I can't even believe, like, my mind could not even allow myself to understand this. And the first thing that I just let's just talk facts. It was developed by the USDA. What does the USDA stand for? So it was not developed by a medical committee of any kind. It was developed by the USDA, and that stands for the United States Department of Agriculture. And that all by itself should be a total connection, and understanding should flood our minds as to why we were told 9 to 11 servings of grain a day. Now, Jordan was talking about how, and I don't know where he has this information, because I didn't find it. It's hard to find certain things online these days. Have you noticed? Basically, that they knew, they had been warned that it was going to lead to obesity and diabetes. And so that was, in his mind, very criminal. And I must agree, because now where are we? Hey, Andrea, good to see you. Good to see you. Good morning. Here we are 40 years later, because it started not 40, I guess, was discussed in the 70s. The pyramid came out in the 90s. And so, here we are 30 years later, let's just say 25 to 30 years later, and we are more obese than we've ever been. We're more medicated than we've ever been. We're sicker than we've ever been. Our functioning levels, I mean, that's what I want to talk to people about the most. Thus, the whole conversation about the air treatment system webinar, because if you can't function, you can't create more memories. Like, you are stuck we have our children, most of us, but this is just my experience, right? You have your children, you hit your 40s, and you think, oh, we're heading towards empty nest, honey. This is going to be amazing. We're going to, we raised our kids, and now we get to whatever we want to do, whatever it is that's on our vision board or in our minds, or the conversations that we had or whatever. And now here we are, maybe only with insulin resistance, only at the beginning. We're exhausted. We're so fatigued. We can't sleep at night. We wake up in the mornings and we're just like a truck hit us. We're not functioning. And now we're like, oh, woo, how am I supposed to be excited about like dreaming and doing anything? So we have to take back our bodies so that we can create more memories. Does that make sense to you? I mean, isn't that maybe what we always kind of wanted? But then on top of it, if we have upper respiratory issues, and it's all connected, don't be confused. Now, if we have asthma, we have COPD as we go on in our life, we have all of these things. Now it's just another level of not functioning. Doggone it. Well, let's go back to the core of all disease, which is inflammation, right? They're out of the purple packet, Andrea. Are you serious? I will look that up for you when I get off, okay? I will look that up. Tell me what you love the most about the purple packet, Andrea. Like, is it because you're using it for energy? Because I might be able to just give you maybe I can give you a substitute for a half a minute, but I'm going to look that up for you. Okay. So just like you, what, Gabby? Tell me. I would love to know. So, I mean, it's really frustrating. This isn't how our life is supposed to go. So I want to be the beacon of, this can be turned around, you guys. This is not a terminal illness. This can be turned around, and you can actually take back your life. Like, I turned back my insulin resistance. And then, because when your insulin and your sugars are high and you bring them down, you can actually finally lose weight. It's a key to losing weight. And so I actually went from a 2X down to a large in my 50s after my cycle stopped. Like, this actually can happen. I wake up at 59 and I don't ache. I'm not on any meds. My dad took a Lazy Susan full of meds. I didn't. I did supplementation. Me, Italian girl who was totally addicted to sugar and thought supplementation was ibuprofen. Like me, I did this. Do you know how many things I've done in my 50s? I'm 59 now. That most people think that they should have done maybe in their 30s, like, we're actually building a business. Like, I lost 3 sizes. I took back my life. I actually I eat healthy. Like, what is that? That was not me, you guys. All of these things changed in my 50s. So get your hopes up. You're not too old. It's not too late to take back your body and to create memories with your family. Golly, it's not too late because it's not a terminal diagnosis. But you do have to take action and shift a few things. That is exactly why you love it. Energy and no brain fog. I know. So Andrea, when I get off, I will check it. And if it is so, then I'm going to give you a direct substitute. Okay. All right. How does that sound? You have to be your own advocate, Magda. You do. You really, really do. Not easy, however, with consistency and nutrition, it can be done along with the trio. I love that you mentioned that. My fasting insulin has dropped from 24 to 8.7 in 6 months with the trio. Are you kidding me? I have to screenshot that. Oh my gosh, that is such a great testimony. Okay, so you guys listen to this. Listen, just for a second. If you have not had hope, the trio are 3 supplements that have 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. It's what my phone stuff today. This is so funny. Like I'm wilting. This is what I started with over 10 years ago. I know it's not a sexy conversation. I get it. But I wasn't willing to change out my foods because I'm Italian. And I didn't believe enough in myself. That's just a real honest conversation. I honestly thought to myself in my 30s, my upper 30s, I thought maybe I'm supposed to just embrace obesity and type 2 because of my Italian family. I honestly thought that. I remember where I was standing and the day that I was standing in my yard, and I allowed that conversation to start in my head. Then in my 40s, when my mom wouldn't leave me alone, I actually thought to myself, well, I'm pretty much never going to change the way that I eat. So I'll start doing some supplements and I'll tell my mom I'm doing some supplements. Here you go, Mom. This is what I'm doing. I mean, that was literally my thought process. And it wasn't until for vanity reasons, after my cycle stopped from a shoulder surgery, fat pockets show up on your body in different areas. I'm like, it gets worse. I'm not kidding. These are just the real honest conversations in my head. It gets worse. Like you end up getting fat on the inside of your knees and back fat, and all those things. And so because I had started to work with supplementation, I was able to actually lose the fat that I needed to lose because I brought down my insulin and my sugars, and my body then was able to lose fat. I mean, honestly, you guys, it's just a biological conversation. It's all it is. It's not a points conversation. It's not a calorie deficit conversation. It's not an intermittent fasting conversation. It's not a work your butt off in the gym and raise your cortisol conversation. It's literally, once you're insulin resistant, change your glasses of how you're viewing weight loss, fat loss, and we can do this. So she's talking about the trio, and she's saying basically she started those 3 supplements 6 months. Okay. Give yourself a half a minute. Okay. Can you give yourself a half a minute of your life? Can you give yourself a little bit of consistency, a little bit of discipline, a little bit of routine? Her fasting insulin has gone from a 24 to an 8.7 in 6 months. And it's just basic conversation, filling in nutritional deficiencies, and your body can actually respond to that. And if you need the testimonies, take the time today. Like, just take some time. And this is all it's going to take you. It's going to take you 5 minutes. Give yourself 5 minutes. Can you do that? Self-care for 5 minutes. Jump over to IG, Kirsten Liebelt. Go to the top of my page, and there's a pink highlight bubble. And you will see the testimonies of the trio. I am the only one in my family that avoided type 2 because this is where I started. My dad had a lazy Susan full of meds, dead at 63. After years and years of low functioning, hard to make memories life. Hospitals, ICUs, heart surgeries, kidney dialysis center, throwing up, the days of dialysis. That was his 50s. These are my 50s. I'm in a completely different spot. I'm enjoying life on a completely different level. The the contrast is shocking. How I'm living my life and how he lived his life. Shocking. So that's the trio. I hope that everybody had a chance to kind of hear that and understand. And if you need any information on the trio ever, reach out to me. Put trio in the comments on Facebook because it'll stay there. And if you're on Tickety Talk or IG, you have to get into my inbox. You probably, TikTok, you need to jump over to IG because I can't send stuff in messages. It's just the way that it is over on the Tickety Talk. I got to do things different. So I have to get people over, because then I can send you actual like links and direction and stuff like that on IG, because you guys are blessed and highly favored. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That's just amazing. It's not a genetic problem, but a food problem. It is. So let's talk about it. So the food pyramid was introduced in the early 1990s by the USDA, Department of Agriculture. So what are the things that are at the bottom of the food pyramid that tell you to eat 9 to 11 servings a day? All of the crops. So let's see here. The agricultural industry, which includes farmers and food producers, they had a vested interest in promoting their products. When they created it, they were giving you that visual way to eating, quote unquote, healthy. And it featured a large base of grains followed by fruits and vegetables with similar sections for then protein and dairy, and even smaller sections for fat and sweets. And this is the low fat craze of the 90s. Craze. Like eat the Snackwell cookie with the sugar, but don't eat the butter. Remember those days? Thank you, Magda. She says, God bless you, Kirsten. You're amazing, Magda. The prominence of grains at the base of the food pyramid reflected the USDA's recommendation to eat more whole grains. However, critics argue, and I'm one of them, that this emphasis was partly due to lobbying by the grain industry, which wanted to ensure high consumption of their products. Who thinks that that's right? Who thinks that that's probably true? By promoting a high diet in grains, the food pyramid indirectly encouraged the consumption of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta, which are staple products for the grain industry. Bread, cereal, rice, and pasta. It's criminal, but anyway, okay. By promoting a high diet in grains, the food pyramid, blah, blah, blah. The pyramid structure was simple and easy to understand, making it an effective marketing tool. Thank you for all of the likes. Hi, Movie Mama. Good morning. Good to see you. You're awesome. An effective marketing tool for promoting specific dietary patterns that favored the agricultural industry's interests. How are we feeling about that today? I honestly want to know, like, how does that make you feel to know that it was a marketing conversation? It wasn't a medical conversation. It was marketing. They capitalized on an opportunity to take advantage of the health, in my opinion, of the public. Potentially having been warned, according to Jordan, potentially, because I don't know where he found that information, having been warned that it was going to increase obesity and type 2. Critics argue that the food pyramid did not accurately reflect the healthiest dietary patterns. They claimed it overemphasized grains and underemphasized fats and proteins, you think, leading to public confusion about balanced nutrition. There was concern that the food pyramid was shaped more by industry lobbying than by unbiased nutritional science. This led to calls for dietary guidelines to be based on independent research without industry influence. Honestly, how is that even possible? How is it even possible that this is what we've done? I mean, we have to ask these questions. And so I feel like the reason why I talk about this all the time is because I feel like there are so many people, and it probably comes from, I mean, it came originally from my story, obviously, and being raised by a type 2 insulin dependent dad. You had to pay for a lipid panel, no longer. No longer diabetic. A1C is 5.3. Average blood sugar is 105. Woohoo! But glucose is high. Why? Is that a fasting blood glucose movie, Mama? I would love to know. I would love to know. I don't know. So it starts with my story, and I don't know why it connects with me so much, but because I'm 59, right? And you guys are probably very close to me in age, but we've seen a lot of people go through a lot of really hard things, right? Like we've known people to die of C. We've known people now at this point in our lives that they've gone through really, really hard things. I know somebody who, whatever, I know somebody whose husband died in a house fire. I know somebody who, I have a story, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet because it recently happened. But when you see things that are really hard, and then you put it into perspective, what we are talking about when it comes to insulin resistance and type 2. And had my dad had this information instead of the matrix information that he was given, honestly, you guys, he literally was in dialysis for 2 years at the end of his life. And at one point, he finally decided to change the way that he was eating. And he stopped taking his blood pressure med because he didn't need it anymore. And he asked them, oh, my low power, my juice is running out. I'm going to have to jump off soon. And he told them, he said, what would you say? This was like maybe to a nurse at the dialysis center while she was like doing dialysis on him. And he said, well, what would you say? Or, whatever, if I want to get off my blood pressure med, oh, you can't do that. And he said, well, what would you say if I told you I hadn't taken it for 2 weeks, and understand that 3 times a week they're checking his blood pressure and it's good, but he stopped taking the med. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Blah, blah, blah. That was his life, right? Just shocking. Because scripts are so very important to the bottom line, and they're very indoctrinated to believe that we should not be getting off of those. Okay, so that's kind of where I go with that. So basically, Movie Mama, you're saying that, yeah, it's in the morning. So the morning blood sugars called dawn phenomenon that are still high, even though you haven't eaten, even Dr. Eric Berg will say it can take like a year to heal dawn phenomenon. It can take like a year for blood pressure sometimes to come down too. Like it just takes time. It takes time. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm really taking a chance here because I love my customers so much. I don't think that you're a customer of mine, but if you were to be a customer of mine, you can reach out to me and I would talk to you about the glucose product, okay? Because that is, when people talk about the trio, that's my conversation about a customer who type 2 could not get those morning sugars down for anything, even though she was on meds. She had brought her A1C down, but she couldn't budge a pound and she couldn't get her morning sugars down. And in 2.5 months using the trio, she was able to get her morning sugars to go from 180s down to the 150s, which is a huge jump. And that's not how high yours are. And then she lost 14 pounds. So there is a piece of the puzzle sometimes with this nutritional deficiency thought process that can just shove you right over the edge. So you can always reach out to about that if you want to. But otherwise, just know that it can take up to a year. It can take time to heal that piece of the puzzle. Dawn phenomenon is kind of a stinker. Sugar increases inflammation, which increases blood pressure. Yes. Is it still happening to me? Definitely a healing process. Is still happening to you? Definitely a healing process. I know. And it is. It's like, I feel like we are in such a microwave society. And because, now this is just my opinion, because when we go to the matrix and they somewhat treat it flippantly, I don't really want to accuse everybody of that. And what I mean by flippantly is, no problemo. Here's a prescription for this pill right here. Here's a script. No problemo. I have answers for you. Here you go. Oh, still not working? Here's another one. Or let's just up that dose. Okay. So that's what I mean by flippantly. Like, well, we've got these answers and they are scripts. Okay. Right? Because we treat it that way. How many people are talking about the sores on your legs that don't heal? The blindness, My grandpa, my Italian grandpa, my 100% Italian grandpa that came over from Italy. My memory of my grandpa is in a wheelchair, blind, and crying. That's not the information we're being given when we go to the matrix. Is anybody talking to you about, well, you could actually lose a limb. You could lose your eyesight if you don't take this seriously. I mean, I know right now it's just gout. I get it. Like, it's painful. But, better to have that gout than to have it cut off. I mean, nobody's having these conversations. That would be ludicrous, right? But I watched it. Like, when my dad died, somebody in that circle, and I wish that my mother was here that I could ask her that question. Maybe my sister would know. Said that he wasn't far from gangrene in a leg, a foot. I'm not sure. Like, I have to ask those questions because I do remember all the sores, the unhealed sores on his legs. And this is where it heads, right? Uncontrolled, type 2, off the charts, just ravaging your body. You don't go into the matrix and they say to you, okay, well, this is a ravaging disease. Good news, however, it's not terminal and you can turn it around. Let me share with you how. That's not what's happening. You forgot about Don phenomenon. Yeah. Capital gain all the way at the expense of the public who put trust in them. I know. Is it vegan? I think it is, but I would have to have you look. That's a good question. Let me just think for a second. Let me go through some ingredients in my own brain. I think it is. So I will look that up for you, though. I will look that up for you. Oh, Christy, thank you. Christy's going to look. You're so sweet. You're so amazing, Christy. You're sorry. That's so sad. It is sad. It's just, these are the memories that, usually the capsules are gelatin. Gotcha, movie mama. Gotcha. 2 are tablets. 1 is a capsule. Dang it. You're right. But I would have to read that to know. Because they're really good about putting on there if something is soy-free or if something is vegan. They're very good about doing that. So if it's a vegetable capsule or of some sort. Anyway, good conversation on that though. Yep, gelatin is in it, she says. So but yeah. Yep. Yeah, sorry about that. So it's a conversation that I want people to just wake up to going, oh, well, that kind of makes sense. Like, I should study a little bit more. I should pay attention a little bit more. Like get out of the boat that is on the lazy river of thinking. Force yourself to think just a little bit further down the road. Like, so why don't they talk to me about diet? Why do they only offer me scripts? You're right. This isn't a terminal diagnosis. I don't need a team of, oncologists to help me with this. This actually started with diet. Like, this is a diet related disease. How do I know it's a diet? It's because it's in our children now. I'm just telling you, you guys, the misinformation is obnoxious. And it's like, you went vegan for your kidneys. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. See, and that's an interesting conversation too, because my mom had renal cancer. She had 1 kidney removed, and she watched her protein forever and kind of became a carboholic in the process. Not everybody does, of course. So she really eliminated protein and then became a carboholic, and then in her 80s became type 2 and then ended up with dementia. And that was just her story of insulin resistance. And so by the time she was, 80 to 90 and she came and lived with us, we just basically put her on keto and brought her A1C down and gave her functioning life because that's just what we needed to do for her to live with us. Otherwise she had to stay in an institution. We didn't like that. Physicians are given about 15. She's a nurse. Christy is a nurse. She's a customer of mine that's a nurse. About 15 to 20 minute session of nutrition is just not taught go down that rabbit hole of why. I know. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. So anyway, but I digress. I know I get super passionate. I'm just Italian and I get very passionate. I've just seen a lot, and maybe you guys have seen a lot too. And maybe you're the one that is actually experiencing certain things, and it makes my heart just kind of sad. But anyway, we can turn this around and we can have hope and we can be encouraged. Get into the Facebook group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Get in there. Tell them Kristen sent you. I'll do another challenge starting on July 8th. We do one every single month so that you can actually conquer the month that you're in. And then we'll do it again the next month. And then by the end of the year, like Christy said, in 6 months of being on the trio and changing out some foods, she's actually had movement, quite a bit of movement in her fasting insulin. Like, this is a big deal because you can actually turn things around. Some people take longer than others. I understand. So get in that Facebook group. Reach out to me if you need information on the trio. Do not allow yourself to just procrastinate. Do not allow yourself to sit in confusion, like you don't know how to get a hold of me. You don't know where to go look. All of my platforms, I do believe, have my site so that you can look at testimonies. You can look at product ingredients. All of I think my number is everywhere. My inbox is open on Instagram. My messenger is open on Facebook. I'm in conversation with people all day long. Why not you? So if you need information on the trio, let me know. If you are really, if you've ever thought about an air treatment system, or you are dealing with COPD, mold, allergies, asthma, and you need an honest conversation about an air treatment system, that is the face of my husband. And he's going to do a webinar tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time in another group. Okay. It's not going to be in my Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women group, mainly because I'm very specific in that group about targeted supplementation and ingredient trade outs. And if there is enough push on that, if there's enough reaction to that and people want it, I can do that. But in the meantime, it's in a more broader conversation of essential nutrition, and I'm going to put it into that group. So reach it out to me and say, I need to get into the whatever group that is that the webinar is going to be in tonight, that's going to stream into. I just need to see what some of that information is and see if that's a fit for me. And it may not be. But what if it is, right? And you can change again the level of functioning that you have in your life. And there is a connection to poor air quality and insulin resistance, because there's a connection between the inflammation that's creating the bad particles, that's putting bad particles in your body and then damaging your cells and further exacerbating insulin resistance. Like, there are all these connections that we've never been talked to about. Okay, so reach out to me about that as well. If you need anything today, let me know. I do have an 11 o'clock appointment that's coming up in just a few minutes, so I do have to jump. So basically she says, hi, Candace. I don't think I've ever met you before, but it's so nice to meet you. Your husband is type 2 and recently had a kidney transplant. Has been watching his sugar carb intake, praise God. But doctors want him on high carbs. Candace, I am not a doctor. I have to be very, very careful. I'm not a doctor. I will only say this. My dad was type 2 insulin dependent. In the last 2 years of his life, he was on dialysis. And he led a very high carb life. My mother led a very high carb life and ended up with dementia. Because insulin resistance in your body is type 2, insulin resistance of the brain is dementia. So everybody has to make their own decisions. And I can't go against the matrix. I can't do that. That's not wise for me even, right? Like I can't just do that. I can just tell you that there's no way that I would take the advice that was given to my dad or the advice that was given to my mom. Dementia was really hard. It imprinted me. It was 5 years of taking care of her. And that was unnecessary. 100% Swedish. No type 2 in her family. No type 2. Ends up with renal cancer. Has 1 kidney removed. And for 20 years, she spends her time eating high carbs, to protect her kidney and ends up with dementia. Oh no, first ends up with type 2, gets put on Met and is now tagged in her 80s, which should tell you this is not genetic. In her 80s, gets put on Met and everything else, and then tips over right into dementia. Her mom had lived to 97, 100% Swedish, played Scrabble till she died, not one brain issue ever. We assumed that was going to be my mom because genetics, right? Genetics told us that these Swedes, man, these Minnesota Swedes, they live forever. They have amazing health. They have amazing studies have been done at the University of Minnesota. But these amazing Swedes that came to Minnesota. Nope. You told him no, he's been doing well on low carb good. Yeah. It's really sad, you guys. I've seen so much now shift from that generation from my grandma's generation to my mom's generation to now my generation. I'm like, oh, I'm leaning, I'm bending. And I literally am like a deer in headlights. I'm like, what happened? So I talk about stuff like this, and we have a pyramid party. It's so sad how doctors are all about meds and not nutrition. I know. And we've got to start. We've got to come on, you guys. Come with me. Come with me. We can be our own advocates. We can be our own answers, because it's not a terminal diagnosis that requires a team to help us understand. It doesn't take a team. It takes ourselves and a little bit of research, and it's not that bad. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. It's not. And if you want the best results of the best results, stop listening to anybody that's telling you that it's all about balance and that you are crazy for having a restricted diet and that you are crazy for thinking that carbs are evil. They're not. God made all food good. We just kind of messed it up. So now we have to turn it back, and we have to stop spiking our sugars so that our body stops calling on insulin, so that we actually even have a remote chance to burn a little fat. Let's burn a little fat. I went from a 2X down to a large, targeted supplements, changed my ingredients, and here I am, an Italian girl. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Your kidney doctor said he wishes more people would pay attention to what they eat. Wow. Yes. Good. See? Good. Very, very good. You're welcome, Andrea. That's probably a while ago. All right. So webinar. So Brenda. Let's see here. Are you in the group? Are you in the Ditch Insulin Resistance group? I posted this morning. It is a terrible disease. I posted this morning about the webinar tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I put the group, the sister Facebook group, in the comments of that post, reminding people, if you have COPD, asthma, mold allergies, animals, you just know that you want cleaner air. You live in the cities like I do. I live by Minneapolis, St. Paul. We end up with wildfire notifications, right? So if you just need better air quality, jump in. And okay, so the group, jump over to that Facebook group. And if you need something, I'll try to remember and just send you a direct link, Brenda, in Messenger. So Candace, thank you. You're so glad you found me. You're pre-diabetic and you just made the cinnamon bread and the granola. Oh my gosh. So I do know you, Candace. Yay. That's wonderful. Good for you. That granola is, I haven't made it since because I can't, because I will eat it. That's actually in the Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women Facebook group. And you can actually search keto granola and watch my video of making it. It was phenomenal. I made it for a road trip this June. It was great. All right. You guys are amazing. You'll go there. You have asthma, Brenda. Okay. Jump in and see if that's a fit for you. And again, it may not be a fit for everybody, but it is worth getting some good information. Your husband loves it too. See, we impact our families. Do you see how we do this? We impact our families by the choices and decisions we make. So, all right, I got to run. I'm late for my Zoom. I got to jump. You guys are amazing. I'll be back at 10 Central Standard Time tomorrow. And who knows what we're going to talk about tomorrow? I mean, we'll find something else to just really go at. See you later. All right, let's see if I can do that. There we go. All right. See you later, TikTok and Facebook. Have a super blessed day. If you need anything, put it in the comments because you are the platform that I can come back and see what your comments actually are. So have a good day.